Hey guys, welcome back. In the last lecture, we updated the likes and dislike count from the React component and implemented the fetch API with the put option. And there we learned how to send the request from React to an API with JSON request body. Now, in this lecture, we will move forward one more step with our Rails and React learning, and that is we will add a drop down list containing question tags on the browser and allow users to select any tag from it, and then we make a request to the Rails API to fetch all the question with the matching tag only. Okay, in this lecture we need to work on both Rails and React part. So first, let's implement the Rails part. Here we already implemented the API to return the list of all question objects from database, and we just need to make some changes here. Okay, so first open your questions controller. So for that, first is to the project directory, and here you can see that into this API questions controller we already implemented the index endpoint or the index section, okay, which is returning all the questions. Okay, now we need to make some changes here because now we will receive the user supplied tags, and then we need to filter the available question into the database based upon that tag attribute. Okay, so what we can do here, first, let's consider we will send the tags as the query param, so our index section needs to be updated accordingly. Okay, so what we can do here, if params and then tags. Okay, so first this tag will be received as the query parameter, then if it is present and not equal to all. So if params tags dot present and params tags is not equal to all, because if it is all, then we need to return the entire collection of the question that we have in the database right now. Okay, so what we can do here, so we need to just update this question collection. So questions equal to question dot where. Okay, and in this we just need to add tag with matching query parameter, so we can add params tags. Okay, and then into the else part, what we can just simply return the existing query. Okay, so just look at this index section again. So if the params tag present and param tags not equal to all, then we need to fire a where query that will return all the question with matching text that we receive in the query parameters, and else we need to return the entire question collection. Okay, so just save this, and now let's test this API via Postman first, and then we make changes into our React component. Okay, so open the Postman and send a new request. So let's click on this Postman and just open a new untitled request, and here what, just select the type get, and here you can add HTTP, and then okay, just use that. We just need to remove this update counter from here. Okay, and if you send this request, just make some space into the terminal. Okay, so now if you send this request to the server, you will receive all the questions. Okay, and it contains question from all tags. Okay, so here you can see that we have question with ruby tag as well, and later you can see that we have question with rails tag as well, and then in the last we have question with the react tag as well. Okay, now we need to provide the query parameter. Okay, so this is how we can provide the query parameter. So you can see question mark tags equal to ruby. Okay, so now let's make some space into the terminal, and if you send this value, okay, with this tag parameter, you will see only question with the ruby tag, okay, which are matching with the ruby. Okay, now if you provide, let's say you provide js, if you provide js, then you will see that no question, no question in the response. Why? Because we do not have any question in the database which has the tag js. Okay, similarly you can find all the question for react also or rails. So let's submit for rails. So now when you submit this request, you will see that all the question with the rails are listing here. Okay, so you can see that the api is working fine. Okay, now we need to make updates into our react component, and we will do those changes into the question list component. Okay, so open the question list component first. So switch to the project directory again. Okay, and in this project directory, open the question list component. Okay, and here you can see that we have a functional component here, and we have some state variable, and then fetch api, and we use the use effect. Okay, now we need to define a list of tags that we will use to display as a drop down. Okay, and that list will contain the labels we need to display to select the text. Okay, so just inside this question list component, and here define a constant. Okay, and that constant name must be, let's say, questions tags. So you can provide here questions tags. Okay, and here you need to define an empty array, sorry, an array, and inside this array we need to define the JSON object with exactly two key value pair, that is label and value. So you can provide label here, and first will be all, and then another will be value. So value must be 0 for first object. Okay, and similarly you can create another values, and into every value let's replace the tag name. So first you can provide, let's say, ruby, and its value must be 1. Okay, and then second for 2, and you can provide label name here as rails. Okay, and then you can provide label name as react, and the value must be let's say 3, and then here 4, and provide the label language, let's say bootstrap. Okay, and if you wish you can add another label as well, let's say just add for js. Okay, so add the value to 5 and add a label here javascript. Okay, that's fine, and save this. Now we need to define a new state into this component and set the initial value for it, just like we do for this question list. Okay, so our new state variable name must be the selected option, that which option we select from the drop down. Okay, so we need to define our new state variable here. So we can do const, and then just like we did for question list, so we can provide selected option, and then set selected option. So here selected option for the initial value, and set selected option will be used to update its value. Okay, and we need to provide some initial value to this using use state hook. Okay, and we know we use the use state hook inside the functional component to set the initial value of a state. Okay, and here what the initial value of it should be. So initially it should be all. Okay, so you can use here question tags, and then first object inside the question tag dot value. Okay, and save this value, save this, and first wrap the word. So go to the views and click on the word wrap. Okay, now we can see everything in line. Okay, so we defined our state here. Okay, and this state will display the option selected by the user, or will set the option selected by the user. By default this will display all, because unless user select a tag of his choice, we need to display all question as default. Okay, now what we need to do as the next thing, that we need to display the select box that will show all these question tags onto the browser. Okay, so first come to the our return block inside the component. Okay, and here we need to add some message first. So we can use a paragraph text. So p class name, and then here lead, and here you can provide fw bold. Okay, and inside this paragraph what will be the message we can add, let's say filter question by text. So filter questions by text, save this. Okay, and after this paragraph we need to define our select box. So let's add the select box here. So what we can do here, the html select you can use. Okay, so select, and then first add a class to it. So class name must be, let's say, form select. This is a class in bootstrap 5 to style the select box into the bootstrap 5. Okay, so form select, and then form select lg. Okay, save this, and now we need to provide the value. So its initial value must be the selected state. Okay, so we can use the selected option here. Okay, so just to copy this and provide the value here. Okay, so now we have value. Okay, and now close this select tag. Okay, okay, and inside this selected, now we need to define our options. Okay, and we know that we created this question text for listing all the options, so we need to iterate this questions tag list. Okay, inside our select box. Okay, so here you can come and you can iterate through this question tags. Okay, so first let's use question tags dot map. Okay, and inside this map use tag, and then the e6 style function, and add a parenthesis here, line break, and inside this we need to define our option tag. So you can define option, Okay, and we know since we covered in the last previous lectures that every element that we iterate inside the map must have, or every DOM element that we iterate inside a loop or map iterator must have a unique key attribute. Okay, so we need to provide the unique key attribute here to every option, and here you can see that into the questions tag all the values are unique for every element or for every tag, so we can provide the key name as tag dot values. Okay, so what we can use, key equal to and then tag dot value, tag dot value. And we also know that every option element must have a value attribute. Okay, so we can now we need to provide the value attribute to this, and its value is also tag dot value. Okay, so you can add tag dot value. Okay, and now close this option tag, and inside this option tag now we need to display the label of that or label for that option. Okay, so what we can do here, here you can see what name we have, label. Okay, so just to provide tag dot label here, tag dot label, and now save this and refresh the browser. You will see the drop down list of question tags. Okay, so save this and come to the browser and refresh your page. Okay, and here you will see that all the question filters or all the question tags are displaying visible inside the drop down. Okay, or displaying inside the drop down. Okay, and now inspect the browser. Okay, so when you inspect it you will see that there is some warning. So switch to the console tab, and here you can see the warning: you provided a value prop to a form L field without an on change handler. This will render a read only field. If the field should be mutable, use default value. Okay, otherwise set either on change or read only. Okay, and we will discuss this warning in more detail in upcoming lectures, but for now we are not going into the depth of this. Okay, and just to consider that here you can see the all. Now if you select the react, okay, you will again see the all. Okay, if you click on the bootstrap you will again see the all because it is not changing. Okay, so we need to add some on change attribute here or on change handler here. Okay, and that is the exactly thing that we need for our question list component. Okay, so now it's time to add a on change event here or on change handler. So let's define on change. Okay, and into this on change we just need to provide some event. Okay, like whenever the value changes we need to set the target value or selected items value to our selected option state. Okay, so what we can do here, let's say event. Okay, and into this event now we need to define some function. So let's add our function name. So our function name must be or should be, let's say, update selected item. Update selected item. Okay, however one thing I want to tell you that I am just choosing the names which feels good to me. Okay, if you think that there should be some better conventions or some better nomenclature, then you can choose the name of your choice. Okay, it's totally depend on you. Okay, so here let's provide this event. Okay, now we define this function as the on change. Now it's time to implement this function. Okay, because if you save this and refresh the browser now, okay, so just refresh it, it's time to update this function. So just implement it after the use effect. So we can use, let's say, const function name. So what is our function name? So it's update selected item. So const update selected item, and just provide an argument here that is event. And now inside this function we need to implement our logic. Okay, so the first logic will be that set the question list to an empty array. Okay, why? Because for example now if we want to display all the ruby questions or all the react questions or all the rails questions, then why to display all the questions? Okay, so all the questions with all tags. Okay, so now we need to set our question list to an empty array. So let's use set question list, and here just provide an empty array. Okay, then we need to set our selected option state. Okay, so just use set selected option. Okay, and here you can see that we are getting this event as the argument here. Okay, so we can just set event dot target dot value, event dot target dot value. Just set it. Okay, now let's refresh the browser. Okay, just to check that whether it is working or not. So refresh the browser. Okay, so for now we are getting all the questions, and if you select Ruby, that you can see that our question list is set to an empty array, and our selected option list is set to event.target.value, that is Ruby. Okay, now we need to call the fetch API with updated question URL. Okay, here you can see that we have already used this fetch question list to fetch the URL. Okay, but we need to call this fetch API again with updated question URL. And what we will update in this question URL, that we just need to pass the query parameters, so our Rails API can return the response based on it. Okay, so just implement this. So copy this fetch code, or copy this fetch API invocation here, and paste it here. Okay, so just paste it. And now we just need to update this question tag. So what we can add here, add the plus, and then query parameters, and the query parameters will be, let's say, tags equal to, and then, and the dynamic value here, so dollar, and then questions tag, questions tags, and then what tag we need to set. So selected attributes label we need to set here. Okay, so whatever the value we will get into the event.target. Okay, so just need to fetch that object from the question tags array here, and then we can use dot label here. Okay, and this will set the updated data. So for example, just save this and refresh the browser. Okay, so now switch to the browser and refresh it. You will see the all the questions again. So now we are seeing, you can see that Ruby questions are here. Okay, Rails questions are also here, and React questions are also here. Now let's just select the Ruby. Okay, so now you can see that we selected Ruby, and it is only displaying the Ruby questions. Okay, and a request is coming to the server with tags as query parameter, and value is Ruby. Okay, now if you again look at this, and you select the Rails, then you can see that it is only displaying the Rails question. Okay, and if you click on the bootstrap, let's say, this is not showing any question. Why? Because we do not have any question with the tag bootstrap. Okay, and if you click on the React, then it will show you all the question of with tag React. Okay, and again if you click for the JavaScript, then you will again see no questions there. Okay, so now we need to change the way of displaying question list here. Okay, because right now we are displaying the default question list. Okay, for example, if you refresh the page, you can see when the tag is selected as all. Okay, then we are displaying all the questions here. Okay, but with filtered text or the user choice text, this might be possible that sometime you do not get any questions. So we just need to handle this case. For example, if we click on the bootstrap here, so we are not getting any questions. So in that case, we need to display some alert message that tag question with this tag are not exist. Okay, so what we will do here, so if question present, then we will display them, else we will show an alert message. Okay, and we will display this alert message into a separate component. Okay, so first let's create that separate component. Okay, to display the alert message. So come to the project directory, and inside these components, let's implement a new file. Okay, and you can name this component as, let's say, empty question list. So save it as empty question message. Okay, this is fine. Empty question message dot jsx. Okay, by the way, before implementing this component, I wanted to tell you that now we know and compatible with both the ways of creating component. Okay, I mean functional and class component. So it's your choice that how you want to create this new component. Okay, here I'm going to use a functional component for this, but it is totally optional. If you wish, you can create a class component as well, and if you wish, you can follow the functional component that I'm creating here. Okay, so now let's come to the question list.jsx and copy some lines from here. Okay, sorry, this line from here, and we can paste it here. Just remove this use state and use effect, because in this question, in this component, we don't need that. Okay, now we need to implement our component function. Okay, so we can add const and our component name, that is empty question message, empty questions or question message. Okay, and then just to set some props to it, because we will send a message to this using through our question list component. Okay, so set this prop and now define the return statement into this function. Okay, and into this return statement, we will display a Bootstrap 5 alert message. Okay, so first come to the browser and copy an alert message from the Bootstrap 5 site. So open the Bootstrap 5 and into the components, go to the components, and from here you can copy an alert. Okay, so from the components, let's click on the alert, and we can use any kind of alert, but I always prefer the dismissible components. Okay, so just copy that. Okay, so copy it and you can do this. Okay, and now the first thing that we need to do in this component is replace all the class by class name. Okay, okay, because class will not work in the react, you will get an warning. Okay, now we need to change this message here, so we can add oops, or and we can also add some message here. Let's say suppose we provide the tag name into the props, so we can add, let's say, no question found with the tag, no questions found with the tag, and then the tag name here, that is props dot tag name, props dot tag name. Okay, and then just add a full stop, and we can add another message, that is please select another question option from the list. Please another option from the list. LST, no, it is list. Okay, and now we need to export this function. So what we can do here, export default, and then our function name. Okay, just save this, I get a line break, and now import this component into the question list.jsx. Okay, so here what we can do at line number 5, we can just add an import, and then from, just add this question name again. Okay, so we imported this function into our question list component. Okay, and then finally we need to change the way of displaying the question. Okay, so just come to the return block inside this question list component, and here you can see that right now what we are doing, that we are iterating the question list. Okay, and we are entering the question detail component, but here we need to make some changes. Okay, so let's do that change. What we can add here, if question list dot length is greater than 0, length greater than 0 means that we have some question into the API response. Okay, and if it is 0, then just display the error message, else we can display the question whatever the quantity we have. Okay, so what we can add here, questions list dot length greater than 0. Okay, then what we need to do, we just need to display this. Okay, so we can edit here, sorry, undo this, and here we can just use this map iterator. Okay, so just copy this, sorry, cut this, and now you can remove this as well, and inside this let's do that, like the indentation. So if question list length is greater than 0, then display all the questions here. Else what we need to do as the next thing, just add the ternary operator, sorry, semicolon operator here, and then we need to call our empty question message component. Okay, so now render this component. Okay, so you can edit here, and here you can provide a prop, that is tag name. Okay, so let's add tag name, and what should be the value of this. Okay, so its value will be question tags selected option. Okay, that we use here. Okay, that this is the selected options label. Okay, so now just use this question tags. Okay, and here you can add question tags and then selected option dot label. Okay, save this. Okay, and now refresh your browser and let's see if it is working. So just refresh your page. Okay, and here you will see that right now we are seeing all the questions. So let's click on the Ruby first. So when you click on Ruby, you will see all the question matching with Ruby tag. And now let's click on the Bootstrap. So when you click on Bootstrap, you can see that no question with Bootstrap. So that's why we can see this alert message. Okay. So now come to the empty question message again. So because we do not need to do this warning, we just need to display it as a danger. Okay, so alert danger and add a margin top class to it. So empty 5. Save this and now refresh your browser again. And when you refresh your browser, let's click on Ruby. You will see all the question are from the Ruby tag. When you click on Rails, you will see all the question matching with the Rails tag. When you click on React, you will see all the question matching with the React tag. And when you click Bootstrap, you will see this error. Oops, no questions found with the tag Bootstrap. Please select another options from the list. Now, if you click on the JavaScript, you will see this error message again. Okay, so and when you click on the all, you will see all the question list. Okay, and that's it. This was the main objective of this lecture, and I just wanted to let you know, guys, that this is a very important lecture because you might got scenario like this, that update or re-render a component on the change event of any drop down or select option. And I'm sure this will definitely help you if you really don't know about it. And if you know about it and you feel, if you feel that there is any mistake I made, just let me throw the comment section. Okay, so thanks for watching this. Just give this lecture a try at your end, and we will meet into another lecture. Till then, tata, goodbye, take care, and stay safe.